Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and it's been a little while since I've done a ship review, so I think that's what I'm going to do today. As I've said in the past, I'm really enjoying the new German battleship line, though I'm only worked my way up to Tier 7 at this point. I refuse to spend, doubloons or money to get these ships that we're going to eventually get on the tech tree line, so I happened to get the Prinz Heinrich just through playing the game and getting the tokens necessary for it, and that is what I'm going to review today, or preview for those of you that aren't too familiar with it. The Prinz Heinrich is a Tier 7 German battleship. It is of the new battleship line, which I have lauded as of late. It has brought secondaries back into the fold. These ships are a hell of a lot of fun, and I played the Heinrich enough that I feel I can give a pretty good presentation on what it has to offer and offer my opinions up on it and why I think you should try and get this ship and this line when it's finally fully released. I know we just had Russian CVs just released. This will be coming eventually. So I'm just going to walk you through the commander skills I'm using, the stats of the ship, some pros, some cons, and what I think about it overall, which, I think you know the direction that's going right now. I've kind of said how I feel about this ship, or at least the German battleship. So on my 21-point captain, the first thing I take is Demolition Expert. The reason I take Demolition Expert is because at the second level I take IFHE. So I kind of want to counteract that lack of fires by adding fire chance. I take IFHE because with these ships I go with a full secondary loadout, and I find that in some circumstances IFHE can absolutely peg enemy ships, especially lighter skinned ships like cruisers and destroyers. So from there, obviously I'm going to take long range secondary to add that 20% increase to secondaries. Definitely want that. Also, for a 3-point skill, I take Adrenaline Rush, so as you lose health, you start firing those secondaries even faster. And then on the Tier 4 skills, I take Manual Secondary Battery Aiming for that increased, or actually decreased, dispersion when fired at priority targets. I do not take Emergency Repair Expert. I feel I don't need it. I do take Concealment Expert because the maps are so small sometimes that you're going to be playing on Tier 7, especially if you're top tiered. You're going to want that extra concealment to stay concealed till the last moment so you can just open fire and blap enemies. I don't know. I always go with Concealment Expert most of the time. And then lastly, I take Fire Prevention Expert, and this is my go-to usually because I feel that in these battleships, you're going to be doing a lot of close quarters firing, and if you come across other ships that have good secondaries, chances are you're going to be lit on fire a little bit, so that kind of negates that. So that is my preferred loadout most of the time for secondary battleship builds. I like this loadout. It's pretty good. There are some things that are interchangeable, but for a secondary battleship, some things are not interchangeable. So moving on to the ship itself, the Tier 7 Prinz Heinrich. Your survivability, you've got 56,300 hit points. I will touch on the armor of the ship. It's decent. It's not great. It's not horrible. If you stay angled, you'll do well against most ships. However, I will say if you are mid or bottom tiered in a round, you are going to have issues against battleships that hit a little heavier. You know, your North Carolinas, ships like that, you are going to lose hit points when those shells slam into you. So don't think that your armor is impenetrable. Don't think that that turtleback is going to save you. Honestly, I don't know if this ship even has turtleback armor, but it gets the job done, though. It gets the job done. I will say that. For your main battery artillery, you've got 4 dual turrets with 380mm guns that can absolutely punish cruisers, as you saw this round earlier on, getting that first kill against an enemy ship. I mean, the guns are good. They feel good. They hit hard. I mean, they're German battleship guns. I've always thought they're decent. You know, ships like Tirpitz and Bismarck can be a little wonky with their aim, but it's good. These guns hit hard. They're powerful. They're big. Secondaries. Maximum range, 9.5 kilometers, which is very generous for a Tier 7 battleship. You're going to land lots of hits with these. Causing fire, your chances 4.5%. That's with IFHE, and that's also with Demolition Expert added. So you have a good fire chance, even with IFHE, which I really like. Main battery range is also 17.4 kilometers, so keep that in mind. You've got torpedoes on this thing, and they've got some range, 10 kilometers to be exact, which is very generous compared to the other German battleship line, in which your battleships usually only have 6 kilometers. The downside to these is the torp speed is a very lethargic 50 knots. So these are not really... Well, they are an offensive weapon, and you can definitely catch ships by surprise, because a lot of people seem to forget that this new line of battleships has long-range torpedoes. Plus, you fire off 4 of them instead of 3. So, it's a nice addition, but I wouldn't rely on torpedoes as a primary means to sink enemy ships, a primary offensive weapon. It's more kind of an area denial type of thing. Just send them out into a cap and see if you get something. AA defenses on the ship is pretty good. It's not bad at all, especially if you're fighting against a Tier 6 aircraft carrier. You're going to be able to do decent damage against those squadrons. Now moving on to the maneuverability, another thing I like about this ship, your maximum speed's 29.4 knots with your Sierra mics. I feel this ship's pretty quick. Turning circle radius 810 meters with a rudder shift time of 14.5 seconds. To me, the ship is nimble enough. To me, it's a fast pocket battleship type of ship. It's a raider. You can get around the map quickly. I don't feel like speed is an issue when I'm bottom tiered. I feel like I can hold my own as well. So that is another thing to like about this ship. Lastly, we're going to move on to concealment. 13.1 kilometers. Not the best in the world. I mean, you've got some tier 8 ships that are at 13.4. But I get it. The secondaries on this ship are really good. It's a big battleship, even for Tier 7. So I understand why the concealment is what it is. So those are the stats of this video. Let's talk about some pros and some cons. I'll go with the cons first. I've already mentioned the armor. The armor can be a little bit brittle when you are bottom tiered. Also, the problem with this ship is with its speed, you can find yourself overextending a lot. Sometimes you can find yourself in situations you don't want to be in with an over-reliance on your secondaries. Though they are good, you can't forget that if you are bottom or mid-tiered, you can get yourself into trouble very easily, and even your secondaries won't be able to save you, even though they can scare a lot of other ships off. Higher tier ships aren't going to care about that. Your North Carolinas, and even if you're facing off against Tier 9 ships like Georgia, ships with good secondaries are just going to eat you alive. So if you are bottom tiered, you got to play very smart. Those are really the only cons I can think about this ship. Aside from that, pros, it's very, very enjoyable. The secondaries are very, very good. They hit hard. They land fast. The guns are very hard hitting. The aim actually to me feels a little better than it does on the other battleship line, the other German battleship line. So overall, it's a fun ship. If you don't have it yet and you used to love playing battleships, the German battleship line, you used to love the secondaries on them and everything else, this ship is for you. It will rekindle that love. It'll bring back that loving feeling. This whole line, up to this point, I've really, really enjoyed. And honestly, for myself, I can't wait to just go up the line. I can't wait for them to release it, or maybe even get the tokens to get the next one up. I think it's the Zeton at Tier 8. The secondaries are so strong. It's just a lot of fun to play. That's my opinion, though. I like brawling in battleships. I like getting up close and personal. I like using my secondaries. I mean, it's just a fun way to play battleships. I'm not one to sit in the back and just sling shells from a distance. To me, that's kind of boring in a battleship. These ships give me what I want. They're fast. They allow me to get into the mix. They allow my secondaries to do the thing. I've had numerous close quarter kills in this thing. I mean, it just seems to happen every single game naturally. So those of you out there looking for secondary battleships again, you're going to be excited because these are coming, and when they come out, they're going to give you exactly what you want. And I don't see a lot of them out there right now, even though players have the ability to get them, and a lot of them probably have the tokens to do it. So guys, what are you waiting for? If you're a battleship fan and you like secondaries and you like brawling, these are your ships right here. Anyhow, those are my thoughts. That's the review of the Prinz Heinrich from me. Highly recommend it. Lots of fun. I'm going to enjoy this line. I want to know your thoughts on it. If you have it, I want to know your thoughts. If you don't, leave a comment in the comment section of this video. If you're a longtime follower but haven't subbed yet, be sure to do that. Put those notifications on, and I will catch you all later. Zoop out.